the meeting of the Swasey Parkway Trustees to order, 6 p.m., July 21st, 2021. So the first order of business is introductions. To my left, Mr. Darius Thompson, Vice Chair. To my right, Mr. Dave Short. Next item on the agenda is public comment, which we have no public here.
And who are you?
Oh, and I'm Dwayne Staples' chair. Sorry, I figured they could read the sign. Okay, so the next item of business is to approval of minutes. So the minutes of June 30th, and I would like to thank Dan, and I do not want to attempt to pronounce his last name because I know I'm not going to get it right, but he has done minutes for us ever since I took over, and he does a great job. So he did the minutes on the 30th. Does anybody note any errors or omissions?
Nope.
No, I just want to say thank you, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Dan.
Motion to approve the minutes from, what's the
The
date?
30th.
June 30th.
June 30th?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the minutes
Aye.
are approved. Sorry,
Okay, no, good.
getting a little ahead of myself here. And then approval of the site walk minutes of July 7th, 2021. And that was to identify trees that should be removed and pruned. Does anybody know any errors or omissions on those minutes?
No.
Accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Minutes have been approved. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the, I wanted to give an update on the road closure. I watched the select board meeting on Monday night, which was the first public reading to make that one way. So they need to have 3 public meetings on that to make it one-way traffic. There was discussion about that. There was some comments from some residents that were there. So the third reading would be scheduled for Monday, August 16th. As the select board chair noted, him and I did have a conversation. He told me about the timeline and all. So there was some discussion over that, and the select board decided to vote to keep it closed through Monday, September 6th, which is right after Labor Day, which again, I think is a prudent thing to do because they have 3 readings. August 16th is the final reading. They would take a vote, and there's not that much time left. They cited public safety, which I don't disagree with on that either. So I would hope, personal feelings here, I would hope that on August 16th, they vote to make that one way and can open it on September 6th. So anybody else watch it, want to add anything to that?
No, I just think, at some point between now and then, signage will need to be addressed. And then another thing I wouldn't mind looking into is, everybody's concern is speeding in there. That flashing light up by Water and Summer Street is really, really effective at catching drivers' attention.
Oh, the speed limit
Yeah.
sign?
The radar.
Yep.
Placing one of those somewhere on the parkway, not at the very beginning, but maybe, like a third of the way in, just to remind people that, whatever we come up with for a speed limit, I think that would be pretty effective, more so than just speed limit signs.
I want to say that we checked into that in 2019 And I do not recall who owns those signs. I think it has something to do with the DPW, not necessarily the police department.
It doesn't have.
But we can ask that.
It doesn't happen. I mean, it'd be nice if it was there when it opened, but I think it's worth exploring it, cost, and get the police department's opinion on the effectiveness of it and that sort of thing.
Well, I did notice on the way down here, there is a new sign that's pretty big on High Street coming towards town after you come out of Drinkwater Road, coming towards town about midway. It says your speed is, it's a big, sign that has a little blue dot that's like capturing your speed. That looks relatively new. I don't know if that's a police department through a grant or public safety, something of that nature. There could be grants or other things.
Was it on wheels or a post?
Wheels.
It was on wheels, yeah.
Oh, it's the portable one then.
It looked brand new though.
Right, but it's, I mean, this thing is like as big as that screen almost.
Oh, we don't need that.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I think the one like on Summer Street, because I pass that every day, and you know how usually when you see things over and over and over again, you eventually kind of tune it out.
Yeah.
That sign still catches my eye when I drive.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, that blinking light is pretty bright if you're going over the speed limit on that one, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And before we move off this, there was also talk about that the selectmen could disband the trust. There was some, that was brought up, there was some conversation about that. I did get a call from the newsletter yesterday, asked some questions about it. And I did tell the reporter that is the truth. It's written right in there. They could have disbanded it in 1979. The selectmen have that power to do that. And that document is on the town website. So I think if it took some people by surprise, that is within the select board's power to be able to do that. So that was brought up the other night. Didn't really go too far from other than being brought up. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Next item is the tree work that we did the site walk for. So I did go back and I recounted all of the trees that were marked, and I was a little, I actually was a little surprised, but I know that there was some conversation as we were marking them, about how many that may be marked and all, and not trying to do this all at once. So I counted 29 trees for removal and 9 trees to prune.
Question.
Yep.
I know I'm on task to put together a proposal, but does that also include or identify the 1 or 2 trees we had question marks? We marked them both with 2 different colors?
No, I did not count those because we had talked about asking the tree companies to try and figure out.
Well, I actually had a thought on that. I was thinking in the bid to keep those 2 trees as a separate item, go a price for pruning and a price for takedown. But remember the guy, the arborist from the tree committee?
Yes.
Who took the walk with us?
Yes.
I think having an independent person do the evaluation of those trees would be a wise thing to do. So see if we could get him involved. And then they could give a separate price, away from the stuff we know has to happen or that we're certain about. And it would keep it a lot cleaner.
That's fine. I think we all agreed that we wanted to try to do something to actually see how how bad or how good those 2 trees are.
Right.
So those were not included
Okay.
in there, and my thought too was to keep that separate. The other thing that I did not include in there was pruning back that woods line from the block building down to the sidewalk on Sergeant's Hill.
Because that's more pruning than taking anything down when we kind of keep it.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. That wasn't, the 9 trees to prune are individual trees that we marked.
Okay.
Another thing that came up in relation to this at the Conservation Commission the other night was the tree committee came in with the proposed town tree ordinance. It would address care and removal of trees that are on town property. And, they're going to go before the select board with that and all that sort of thing. But I think eventually it's going to come to fruition. So I would suggest that let's lead by example. Let's get, at least for now, Jay's the tree warden. Let's get him along for the ride on this thing, and just set a good example.
I can reach out to Jay. I guess I would like to see what we want for his involvement.
Yeah, the ordinance is not in place yet, so
Right.
we wouldn't be bound by anything. But the ordinance as it was presented seemed very reasonable. And obviously, Jay's a reasonable guy. So let's kind of start that process, and just get his involvement, or invite him and see if he wants to be involved.
Yeah, I can do that. Is there a copy of that proposed ordinance somewhere, Dave? Or?
It was in the Conservation Commission packet. I can forward that to you.
Okay.
Or actually, that should be on.
It should be online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll take a look at that. And Darius, if you would take a look at that.
Yes, I will. And just the point of inquiry, that tree ordinance would be something that has to be voted on in the town meeting?
I believe so. I'm not positive. It probably has to go for before the select board for the readings and then proceed from there. I would assume.
Okay.
But it's
Well, and I also think that talking about renovating the turf and all of that, I did get the email from Kristen with Chip Osborne's information again, which I had. I did get an email from Organic First, which Greg Bisson had forwarded my name to him. I have not talked to him yet, but with all this different talk, and again, I know we talk about a master plan, and this should all kind of be rolled into it, but the Parkway has an opportunity to do some things with this tree ordinance, with a fertilization program that can be copied for people along the river, with the setbacks and all that have been voted in. So I think that there's an opportunity there if we can just kind of pull all this together, to make some examples of how things can be done.
and that's why I suggested their involvement, even though it is not in place yet.
Would you, and I forget the lady who's the chair of that, is that Gwen English or?
Gwen's on the board. It's Ellen Flockhart.
Could you reach out and get the name of that?
The arborist?
The arborist,
Yeah.
the person who was at that meeting?
Yep.
All right, great.
So the next steps are for me to put together a proposal so that we can say these are the trees we want to look at, this is what we want to have done, keep that separate from the other 2 trees, keep that separate from the pruning. So there's three items, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, and just for public information, we marked trees to be removed with a white dot, and we marked trees to be pruned with a yellow dot. I will tell you that if you go down to look for the yellows, with the weather that we've had, they are there. They have kind of faded in a little bit. I don't want to go down and
Right.
make them bright yellow, but you can see which trees are marked, and if the public wants to go down and give input on that also, I would be in favor of that.
Absolutely.
So, and we can explain why we think certain trees should come down and why we think certain trees really need to be pruned and kept up down there, so.
Well, and as long as the arborist is going to be down there walking through the park, he can take a look at the marks too.
Yep.
But most of what was marked, it's either a hazard or it's so far gone that it's going to become a hazard that's coming down.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I agree. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, we're on to other business?
Yep.
Okay.
Unless somebody, no more questions on the tree work?
I'm all set.
Okay.
The
Yes.
only question relative to the tree work, do we want to, after I put this together, send it out, you guys will take a look at it, and then we invite the various tree companies to come do a site walk with us?
Yeah, what we did last year because we, last year we actually moved the maintenance bids. So we moved them, instead of doing them in March, we moved them to November. And what we did was we actually put out a date that we wanted to meet with all the contractors that were interested in bidding on the mowing, the turf maintenance in the parkway at a certain time, so we could walk through with all of them and make sure that they understood what the specs, the maintenance specs were. So we didn't have anybody come, but we did have a lot of bids, so that came in for the maintenance of the parkway. But I think that that's a good idea, because regardless of who it is, there's always questions about certain items that should be cut, how often it should be cut, how it should be taken care of. And I think to get everybody there at one time and go over all of the parameters of what we want done is a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing I just thought of too was, and at the pace we're going, this is probably what'll happen anyways, but I think this should be a cold weather project when park usage is at its lowest.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2 reasons. Number one, there's a lot of things going on between now and probably the middle of October down there.
Yeah.
Or the end of October. And
The turf.
yeah, to the turf, but it'll be a lot easier for any tree company to get in around there and work when it's colder.
Right.
So, yeah, I would agree with that.
And one other point of inquiry.
And they're busy, so we probably, it's not like we're going to get them in a month.
Well, and the other thing we could do too, which would probably help with the pricing, is we could give some flexibility as to how and when they do it. Because if there's enough work there, if it's multiple days, if they can use it as filler work, that'll help keep our costs down. Or they might want to come in and just do it all at once. But then also the timing of when it's done will also influence the pricing.
Yeah, I would have to think that that's going to be multiple days down there.
Yeah. So, but that can come up when we meet with them.
Sure.
And also, relative to anyone doing tree work, they're going to have to close the road.
Depends where the trees are.
Okay. Moving their equipment in. however they're doing it,
Yeah.
as big as it is with so in some location, the road will have to be closed at some point.
Potentially, if they have to block several lanes, depends on whether they need to bring in a large truck. Some of the stuff might be climbing and dropping. That's a good point. There might be.
Well, I think we can leave it up to them, because certainly, when the landscape crew does the leaves, it's written right in the contract that they have the ability to ask for the road to be closed. We just have to give, and I'd have to look this up again, but we have to give the police department a certain amount of notice, if I'm not mistaken, and the fire department and DPW. But that has happened over the years.
Right.
Just to keep people safe while they're working down there.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the questions that will either come up from them or for us to them. What you just brought up.
Right.
But that, again, meeting as a group gets everybody on the same page.
Understood. The other question I had is relative to, do we have a full schedule, or have you received the full schedule of all the events that have been approved and scheduled for the year?
No, I have not.
So that would be helpful to at least know that when starting to look at doing things in the fall. The park has always been used at some point in time at the first Saturday in December, right, for a bonfire or something. If they're going to do that this year, it wasn't last year because of COVID, but in years past. So if we're trying to time things out, if there's other festivals or things that are occurring, we want to make sure we kind of.
I can ask. I can reach out to Greg Beeson.
Okay.
As I have said, usually I get a calendar of events the first of every month. Have not gotten one for July yet. But let me reach out to Greg and see if I can get somewhat of a commitment as to what has been permitted down there from now till the end of December.
Okay.
I don't think there probably isn't much going on January, February down there.
No, it's usually
So-
quiet time.
Yeah, no, I can do that. Okay. Any other questions on that?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. Other business. Go ahead.
Master plan. Master plan. Master plan. Master plan. Kept hearing that a lot when we had our last joint meeting with the select board. And I also remember resident and former trustee Florence Ruffner mentioning master plan, trying to work on that. What has been the challenge or difficulty in terms of either putting one together and the select board kept asking, show us your master plan. Julie was asking, so what do we need to do in order to try to move that along? Or is that something that is not as pressing as we need to take care of the trees and other things more immediately?
To me, the roadway, the trees, that kind of stuff, we got to get it, and the status of the trustees and the trust. All that really needs to be nailed down. And then I think from that point, then you kind of have a clean slate. And then we could move forward with probably having to hire somebody to start putting that together.
Your thoughts?
My thoughts is I would like to see where this whole comment about doing away with the trust goes. Yeah, we can work on a master plan. Certainly, I have my thoughts about what needs to be done down there. I haven't reached out to the DPW, which was suggested. I haven't reached out to the rec department. I haven't reached out to some of the other town departments that were brought up the other night at the meeting. I think that, again, I started to reach out to Chip Osborne before COVID hit. I'd like to reach out to him and the organic people again, see what we have to do. I think that can be part of the master plan also, but,
Well, to me, that's not even a master plan issue. That's a maintenance issue,
well,
right?
it is, but we should have again, I think, from a landscape standpoint, don't you think that we should have a long-term, because I know that in his email, he said that if we do go truly organic, it's going to take some time to get that squared away, the turf squared away. So I think it's both. I think it's a maintenance issue, and I think it's a master plan issue.
Yeah, the master plan part is the vision going forward, working with what's there, and that I would be hesitant to at the moment continue putting any trees in there, new ones, until we can maybe put a coherent plan together about where we're going, unless the pruning or the takedowns leave some obvious large voids that should be filled.
I think you've got some takedowns in there. So that being said, Dave, and I have recommended, if you don't mind, I've recommended people to get in contact with you for some ideas of memorial trees that can be put down there. But I think we have 4 right now that have asked about memorial trees.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think it's something like that.
So and again,
but is that a conflict for me?
To recommend? I don't think so. I mean, I can go back to the select board and we can check with town council. But is it a conflict for me to be involved with the turf?
Right.
Or the trees down there.
I just would never want there to be the appearance of there being a conflict.
I understand. Let me ask the question. Let me ask.
Okay.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Let me ask.
Because that's not why I'm here.
No.
And I think most people know that, but.
Right, but as far as if something comes up where you have to make a vote or make a decision or something upon, you would just recuse yourself from doing so. That would take care of any conflict or perceived conflict of interest, if there is.
Right.
And that would be the proper thing to do. It doesn't mean that you cannot be on the committee, you cannot serve in your role as a trustee. The same goes for you as well.
Well, and you have a person out there that maybe we could, as long as it's not a conflict for them to go to Stratham Circle and ask about variety of trees, they don't necessarily have to go to you either. You have some people out there that could steer people in the right direction, so.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's a huge issue, but getting it out in the open,
Mm-hmm.
I would never want that to be a question.
Well, and again, I'm not telling them that to purchase them there. I'm just telling them to ask what a good tree may be.
Right.
In the parkway. And that has been brought up. That was brought up back in 2019 by a trustee and also the select board member about the climate change and the raising of the river and what would be a good tree that might be able to be put in there, and what would we do with the current trees in there because they may not survive. So and we had this conversation, Mr. Damsel and I had this conversation with Chris Kemp from Piscataqua Tree. And he recommended a few trees that, may be able to survive that.
If a saline flood.
Right, if that happened. So, and if we're looking at that, also there was talk about trying to raise the revetment and make a wall so that it protected the parkway. So I think that that's all things that, probably should be on the table when a master plan is looked at, and get resident input.
What year was it that it flooded?
Oh, it's flooded quite a bit.
But I mean, the last one was what, 3, 4, 5 years?
No, it's been since the Mother's Day flood, I think.
And
I think the last time it flooded was when the gondola was down there and sank. No, seriously.
okay,
I think.
okay, that's fine.
But it does, I mean, on any given high, full moon, high tide, that water does come up over there. I think the last time that it actually flooded the roadway and to the pavilion, it's been a while, but
Within the last 10 years. Yeah.
I want to say yes.
I think it was. I think it was
Yeah,
within the last 10 years.
Definitely, there's a couple big floods that happened. Flash floods that have occurred. I remember, high water.
So that's, that's something that has been brought up and probably should be looked at, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my whole question about the master plan that kept coming up, I think that if we were to at least start putting together a loose framework of something, not necessarily know that we need to go out and hire somebody until we get to more specific details, but at least say, okay, here's what we have for master plan. We have this many trees, just basic, something real simple, low key. I'm more than happy to start working on that because I think it would be beneficial no matter what happens. We can at least say that if it's such that the town manager influences the select board to say, hey, dissolve the trust, versus actually understanding what the meaning of the trust is and so on and so forth, get those definitions worked out, and we continue as trustees, then it would be good for us to leave a legacy of having a master plan so it's in place.
Well, the first step to that would be, regardless of who does the actual planning of improvements, would be establishing existing conditions.
Right.
That's the first step.
Okay. I'm happy to start working on that.
All right. Okay.
All right.
I do have, we did have soil samples taken because, to try to move forward with the organic stuff, so I have that, some of that. However, in talking with Chip Osborne, we have to do that a little bit differently. And I am going to reach out to Organic first and talk with him. So.
Okay.
I do have a question relative to what was brought up, one item from a public safety standpoint, some of the outlets and the having the code enforcement officer look at the breakers and the security of all that. Have you had any update from?
Have not.
Okay. So I will leave it in your hands, or do you want me to follow up?
If you would like to follow up on that,
Okay, will do.
that would be great. I do know that I also have received another email from a resident over there in regards to noise and how much the parkway is being used. I need to go, I don't know if you guys were on that or not. There was a number of people. I will go back and see if you are not. I will make sure that you get that.
Yep.
But again, it's that is going to be an ongoing thing, and I think that needs to be addressed in a master plan for the parkway. So, there's a big parameter there when we really, or when somebody sits down and really goes over all of that.
Right.
So,
Yep.
Are you referring to similar to a tree ordinance, something like a noise ordinance, or?
No, I'm not saying a noise ordinance, but it seems as though there still has not been some common ground come to all of that.
Okay.
So, and I'll just leave it at that.
Understood.
So, I think that's a conversation that's going to be ongoing.
Understood.
All right, with a number of people. So,
Need a motion?
no, hold on.
Oh.
I know I wanted to. No, is there?
I'm holding on.
Yeah, and Darius, anything else?
No, I have nothing else other than just that I'm glad we're continuing to be safe. That's all.
No, I agree. Next month's meeting would be the 18th, but Dave, I know you can't make it.
No.
Can we, are you going to be gone for
I'll be gone till the end of the following week.
27th?
Yeah, whatever that Friday is.
Yeah, 27th.
Yep.
Well,
You got a quorum with the two of you.
well, you know what? I think I would like to go over the tree specs and all. We can meet and do that, and we can maybe set a meeting to meet with any of those tree companies. Would you think September?
Yeah.
If I'd kind of like to see if we can't meet earlier as opposed to waiting till October.
Yes. Yes.
And then we will still need to, I feel that putting the maintenance bids out to be open in November worked out very well. So, we had a date in October to meet with everybody, and then we opened them up in November. So I'd like to do that again, too.
And so with the trees, do you want to do have them come meet at some point early in September, or follow the same thing for maintenance because we're looking to do something in the fall?
I'd say early in September.
No, trees in September.
Trees in September, so
Yeah.
we'll have a group meeting, do a site walk,
Yep.
describe what we want in September. And so the date for the September meeting, are we looking at the 15th and then we meet the 22nd, or what are you looking for?
We could even meet earlier, couldn't we?
That's why I mentioned the 15th.
No, yeah, I know that. Well,
We
let's,
give them enough time to put bids together. I doubt it.
yeah, if we have it on the, if we have the bids ready and we go over that on the 18th, can we maybe talk to the arborist there by the 18th and?
Well, he doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily need to meet with him as a group because there's two trees we're talking about.
Okay, correct.
Any one of us could just take him down there and show him the two trees, tell him what we're looking for. I mean, I'd be happy to do that.
Would you take that on, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then, so we would meet with the tree companies. That would probably end up being a weekday. Does that fit into everybody's schedule as opposed to a weeknight, or what do you think,
That's fine.
Darius?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays are best for me.
Friday's probably best for me too. How about you,
Sure.
Dave?
Yes.
All right. So we could schedule, let's say, the 17th
Of
September,
okay.
and then I would say let's change our September meeting to the 22nd. Instead of the 15th.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Darius?
That's fine. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Okay.
fine.
Well, I know we said the 3rd, but if we meet with the tree companies on the 17th, then we can discuss that on the 22nd.
Certainly.
So 9/22, and we're going to meet August 18th. Okay. So we could possibly have a busy next few months here. Mm-hmm. All right, and I will continue conversations with the organic people. All right?
Okay.
One other question that just came up, and
Yep.
I know this was kind of mentioned by Greg Beeson about some funding or something for the kiosk.
The grant,
The grant.
the infamous grant.
Infamous grant. So I will definitely take that mantle up and work with Doreen to find out where the money is, where it was spent, and get a true accounting for it and report back on that.
Okay.
So just stating that, hey, we got a grant for a kiosk, we don't know where it's at. We should definitely know where all of our pennies are and all of our dollars are, and that's what we have our finance and accounting department for. So we'll get that taken care of.
And when Greg first brought that up to me, I know it was a long, I'm going to say it was a long time ago. That was my impression. But I agree. If there was money there and it was earmarked for that specific item, then that specific item should have been done.
Right.
So,
I was also approached by somebody that wanted to donate, it wasn't a huge sum, but they wanted to donate some money towards the kiosk repair too also. So, we throw that into the mix.
all right.
In addition, I will ask or work with Doreen or whoever's appointed in finance to find out how we can set that up, make sure we can follow whatever rules, bring that back to the trustees, make sure if that's okay that we can do that. If we need to let our select board know, then we'll do that as well. But I think it might be something within our purview to do, but it would be good to let them know what we're doing.
I want to follow up with Greg too, because he also said that the Parkway is on, and I'm going to ask Mr. Damsel just to correct me on this, because I'm not exactly sure it's listed in some, can you kind of explain that, Mark, please? I want to be able to do it justice.
And could you identify yourself and where you live?
Good evening, Mark Damsel, 10 Newfield Road.
Thank you.
I don't have it correctly, but I know on the block building we had it repaired a couple years ago, there was a plaque. I believe it's still in the block building. Probably not have it totally 100% correct, but it's a National Registry of Parks.
All right, because I kind of got the impression that also if we were going to do some upgrades or some work or something down there, there might be some rules or regulations that we need to follow for that also. So I was a little bit unclear about all that. I will reach out to him and see if there's
There was some
certain
kind of,
parameters or something.
there was some sort of stipulation, I think he was saying that, when that grant came through, that the nature of the park remain as it was, or something to that effect.
Right.
Specifically, though, I don't know.
Well, again, I'll reach out because I want a clarification on that, and because again, if a master plan is going to be put together, then that's going to need to be taken into consideration.
Certainly.
However, I'm just going to put my viewpoint out here. If it is done in the same context that Mr. Olmsted did it, I don't know why. I don't know how that would change how the Parkway exists and all.
No.
So,
Nope.
I do find it interesting that these comments and things come up from time to time that seem to be, I don't know, convenient. Just my personal observation.
okay.
I want to leave it at that.
Any other business?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So adjourn at 6:45 PM. Thank you.
We are effective and efficient at these meetings.
Aren't you the special resident? You get a desk even.
Look at where you guys sit at.
Yeah, but we're supposed to.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government